This is going to sound like every other bar girl story you've heard, but trust me, it's not, because Ornapa wasn't working in a bar. She had a college degree, spoke perfect English, and when I met her at that beachside restaurant in Kata, I honestly thought I'd found something real. My name is Abram. I'm 47, a software consultant from Phoenix, Arizona. I've spent the last 15 years helping small companies upgrade their systems, good money, flexible schedule, but truthfully, a lonely life. Most of my friends were married with kids, and after my divorce 3 years ago, dating in Phoenix felt like a minefield. Either women wanted to move in after the second date or acted like every dinner was a job interview. That's how I ended up in Thailand for the first time in March 2023. I'd always been curious about Southeast Asia, and honestly, I just needed a break. 2 weeks in Phuket, some diving, some silence, no romance. That was the plan. But then, I met Ornapa. Before we get into what happened, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if you've ever been in a situation like this, or just appreciate hearing the ones who've been, there's a super thanks button below. It's optional, but it goes a long way. It was my third day in Phuket, and I was having lunch at this beachside restaurant in Kata called Sea Breeze. Nothing fancy, just plastic chairs and tables in the sand. But the pad thai was incredible, and you could watch the waves while you ate. Ornapa was my server, but she wasn't like the other staff who barely spoke English and seemed rushed. She actually sat down and talked to me. "You're American?" she asked, and when I nodded, she smiled. "I studied English literature at Chiang Mai University. Always wanted to visit Colorado. I heard the mountains are beautiful." I was surprised. Here was this gorgeous Thai woman, probably 28, maybe 29, who not only spoke perfect English but knew where Colorado was and could discuss American geography. She had this confident way of carrying herself, like she belonged anywhere she chose to be. We talked for maybe 20 minutes. She told me she was originally from a small town near Chiang Rai, came to Phuket because there were more opportunities. She was working at the restaurant while saving money for her own business venture. She had plans, ambitions, dreams. It was refreshing after months of dating women in Phoenix who seemed to have given up on everything except finding someone to split the rent. "What kind of business?" I asked. Her eyes lit up. "A fusion restaurant. Thai food with international influences. I have so many ideas, but..." She shrugged. "Takes money to make money, right?" When I left that day, she wrote her line ID on my receipt. Not her phone number, her line ID. Even that felt more genuine somehow, more personal. I went back to Seabreeze every day for the rest of my trip. Not just because the food was good, but because talking to Ornapa became the highlight of my day. She'd take her breaks when I was there, and we'd walk along the beach or sit at a corner table while she told me about her life. Her story was compelling without being tragic. Her father had owned a small business, importing textiles, but it went under during COVID. Her mother was a teacher, but Thai teachers don't make much money. Ornapa was the oldest of 3 kids, so when her father's business failed, she became the family's main support. That's why she was in Phuket, working at a tourist restaurant instead of using her English degree for something better. "I don't want to work for someone else forever," she told me on my last day. "I want to create something beautiful, you know? A place where people can come and feel happy." She wasn't asking for anything. She wasn't hinting. She was just sharing her dreams with someone who seemed interested in listening. That's what made it feel real. When I flew back to Phoenix, we stayed in touch through Line. Just casual messages at first, her sending photos of sunsets over Kata Beach, me sending pictures of snow in the Rockies. She was curious about my work, my life, even my divorce. She didn't judge or offer unwanted advice. She just listened. The money thing started small and felt completely natural. About 6 weeks after I got back to Phoenix, Ornapa mentioned that her mother had been having chest pains and needed to see a cardiologist in Bangkok. Thai public health care is decent, but for anything serious you want private care, and that cost money the family didn't have. "How much?" I asked during one of our video calls. "Oh, Abram, I wasn't asking for..." "I know you weren't, But how much? Maybe 50,000 baht. About $1,400. But honestly, we'll figure something out. I wired her $1,500 the next day. The extra 100 was for travel expenses, hotels, meals, whatever they needed. It felt good. It felt like being a man who could solve problems, who could take care of someone who mattered to him. Ornapa cried when she got the money. Actual tears on our video call. No one has ever. Abram, I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me. Just take care of your mom. Her mother's test came back normal, just stress and overwork, but Ornapa sent me a photo of the two of them at the hospital, both smiling and giving thumbs up. Her mom was holding a handwritten note in English. Thank you, Abram. That's when I knew I was in love with her. The relationship deepened quickly after that. We were video calling every day, sometimes for hours. Ornapa would show me around her apartment, a small but clean place near the beach that she shared with another girl who worked at a hotel. She'd cook for me over video, teaching me to make simple Thai dishes. I'd show her my house in Phoenix, my office, even introduced her to my cat, Winston. It felt like we were building something together, even across 8,000 miles. The financial help became regular after her mother's hospital scare. Not because Ornapa asked, but because I could see she was struggling. The restaurant work was seasonal and tourist numbers were still down from COVID. Some months she made good money, other months barely enough to cover rent and send something home to her family. I started sending her $1,200 a month. Not a huge amount for me. I was pulling in about $12,000 a month from my consulting contracts, but enough to make her life easier. She could focus on work instead of constantly worrying about money. She could help her family without sacrificing her own needs. You're too good to me, she'd say during our calls. I'm investing in our future, I'd reply, and I meant it. We started making plans. I'd visit again in December, stay for a month this time. Maybe we'd look at apartments together, somewhere nicer where she could focus on developing her restaurant concept. I even started learning basic Thai, using an app she recommended. The money requests were always reasonable and always came with explanations. Her motorbike broke down and needed repairs minus $300. Her landlord raised the rent and she needed help with the deposit for a new place minus $800. Her younger brother was starting university and the family was short on tuition money minus $1,000 tuition fee. I never questioned any of it. Why would I? These weren't luxury purchases or frivolous spending. This was life stuff, family stuff. The kind of responsibilities that proved Ornapa was a good person with her priorities straight. Looking back, I can see the red flags I ignored. But at the time, I explained away everything that didn't quite add up, like how she was always available for our video calls, even during what should have been busy restaurant shifts. Slow day today, she'd say. Or, my manager let me take a long break. Never occurred to me that restaurants don't typically let servers take 2-hour breaks in the middle of lunch service. Or how her apartment seemed to be getting nicer in the background of our calls. New furniture, a bigger television, decorative items that looked expensive. When I mentioned it, she said she'd gotten a good deal at a secondhand shop, or that her roommate had bought it. The biggest red flag was probably how she never seemed to have other friends around. In 6 months of daily video calls, I never saw or heard another person in her apartment except occasionally her roommate. No friends dropping by, no family visits, no coworkers stopping over after shifts. For a young, attractive woman living in a tourist area, that should have been strange. But I was lonely, and she was beautiful, and she told me she loved me every night before we hung up. When you want something to be true badly enough, you can rationalize anything. The turning point came in October, about 8 months after we started talking regularly. Ornapa called me one evening, more excited than I'd ever seen her. Abram, I found it! The perfect location for my restaurant. She'd been walking through the Rawai area and spotted a small beachfront space that was about to become available. The current tenant, a massage parlor, was closing down, and the landlord was looking for a new business to take over the lease. It's perfect, she said, practically bouncing on her bed as she showed me photos on her phone. right on the beach, maybe 30 seats, kitchen space in the back. The landlord said if I can put down 6 months' rent up front plus renovation deposit, it's mine. How much are we talking? That's the beautiful part, because it's off-season and he wants someone reliable. He's only asking for 180,000 baht up front. That's about $5,000. Abram, this could be it. This could be the start of everything we've been talking about. I was caught up in her enthusiasm. We'd talked about the restaurant idea dozens of times. She had menus planned, decor ideas, even a name picked out, Fusion Dreams. The idea of helping her achieve something she'd worked toward for years felt incredible. What about equipment, renovation costs, permits, I asked. I've been researching everything. Total startup costs, maybe $20,000 to $25,000 to do it right. I know it's a lot of money, Abram, but send me the details, I interrupted. Let me look at the numbers. She sent me a complete business plan the next day, 15 pages, professionally formatted, with cost breakdowns, revenue projections, even photos of the space and sample menu items. It looked legitimate, thorough, like something she'd been working on for months. The numbers made sense. Phuket restaurant margins, average tourist spending, seasonal fluctuations, she'd done her homework. According to her projections, the restaurant could be profitable within 8 months and fully pay back the initial investment within 2 years. More importantly, it felt like our future taking shape. Ornapa would have her own business, something she'd built herself. I could visit regularly, maybe even relocate permanently if things continued going well between us. We'd have something concrete tying us together instead of just video calls and money transfers. I wired her $25,000 on a Thursday morning in November. Abram, I can't believe this is really happening, she said when she confirmed the money had arrived. You're making my dreams come true. Our dreams, I corrected her. The plan was for her to secure the lease first, then start renovations immediately so they could be open by high season in December. She'd document everything with photos and videos, keep me involved in every decision. For the first week, everything went according to plan. She sent photos of herself meeting with the landlord, signing paperwork, getting keys to the space. The photos showed a small but promising beachfront location with good foot traffic and ocean views. Then she sent pictures of the renovation starting. Workers removing old equipment, cleaning, painting. She was there supervising, wearing work clothes, looking happy and determined. The contractor says 2 weeks for basic renovation, then another week for equipment installation, she reported during our call. We might actually open ahead of schedule. I felt proud in a way I hadn't experienced since building my own business. This was what it meant to be a partner, to support someone you loved in achieving their goals. The problem started small. The contractor needed an additional $2,000 for unexpected electrical work. The equipment supplier required a larger deposit than anticipated, another $3,000. Permit fees were higher than researched minus $1,500 more. Each request came with detailed explanations and photos. Ornapa would show me the electrical problems, the equipment invoices, the government paperwork. Everything looked legitimate, and the amounts weren't unreasonable for a renovation project. I sent the additional money without hesitation. Renovations always cost more than planned. I'd learned that with my own office space years earlier. But then the photos started becoming less frequent. Instead of daily updates, I'd get pictures every few days, and the progress seemed slower than expected. The workers are lazy here, Ornapa explained when I asked about the delays. Thai time, you know? Everything takes longer than promised. I accepted that explanation. I'd heard similar complaints from other expats about the pace of work in Thailand. But something felt different in our video calls. Ornapa seemed distracted, sometimes rushed. She'd end calls earlier than usual, saying she needed to check on the restaurant or meet with suppliers. When can I see the space? I asked one evening in early December. Maybe we could do a video tour? Soon, she said. It's still a mess right now, all torn up. I want it to look good before I show you. That made sense. but it also felt like stalling. The real warning sign was when she mentioned needing to buy a new phone because hers had been damaged at the construction site. Could I send $800 for a good iPhone that would take better photos of the progress? I sent the money, but something nagged at me. In all our months of video calls, her phone had worked perfectly fine. The camera was clear, the audio was good. Why did she suddenly need an expensive upgrade for construction photos? I decided to surprise her. I'd been planning to visit in January anyway, but in mid-December I changed my flights and booked a ticket to Phuket for the 20th of December. I didn't tell Ornappa. I wanted to see the restaurant as a surprise, maybe even help with the final preparations before opening. The flight felt longer than usual. I was nervous and excited, like a kid on Christmas morning. After supporting this dream for months, I was finally going to see it become reality. I landed at Phuket Airport at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Instead of going to my hotel first, I took a taxi directly to Rawai to find the restaurant. I had the address from Ornappa's business plan and photos. The taxi driver had trouble finding the exact location. We drove up and down the beachfront road twice before I spotted what looked like the space from Ornappa's photos. But instead of renovation activity, I saw a fully operational massage parlor with customers inside. "This is the address," the taxi driver confirmed in broken English. I paid him and got out, confused. Maybe I had the wrong street number, or maybe the massage parlor was next door to Ornappa's space. I walked into the massage parlor and spoke to the older Thai woman at the front desk. "Excuse me, is there a restaurant being built nearby? Fusion Dreams?" She looked confused and called over a younger woman who spoke better English. "No restaurant here," the younger woman said. "This massage shop, same location, 5 years. You? Looking for food?" "Many restaurants down the street." My stomach dropped. I showed her the photos on my phone, the same storefront, the same view, even the same faded blue paint on the shutters. "This is same place," she confirmed. "No restaurant, no renovation, same massage shop." I walked outside and called Ornappa immediately. It went straight to voicemail. I spent the next hour walking up and down Rawai Beach, checking every restaurant and construction site. Nothing matched the photos Ornappa had sent. No Fusion restaurant under construction, no Fusion Dreams signage, no trace of the project I'd invested $28,000 in. Ornappa finally answered my call around 4 p.m. "Abram!" What a surprise. "I thought you weren't coming until January." "Where are you?" I asked. "At the restaurant, supervising the final touches. We're almost ready to—" "What restaurant, Ornappa?" "I'm standing at the address you gave me, and there's no restaurant. There's no construction. There's nothing." Silence. Long enough that I wondered if the call had dropped. "Ornappa?" "Abram, you're confusing me. What address are you at?" I read her the exact address from her business plan. "Oh no, that's the old location. We had to change locations last week because of a problem with the lease. I sent you photos of the new place, remember?" She hadn't sent me photos of any new location. But I was standing on a busy street in a foreign country, jet-lagged and confused, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt. "Where's the new location?" "Kata Beach, near where we first met. Much better location, actually. Can you meet me there in an hour?" I agreed, but something felt terribly wrong. In the taxi to Kata, I scrolled through weeks of our line messages. No mention of changing locations, no photos of a new restaurant site. The most recent photos she'd sent were of the Rawai location that didn't exist. The Seabreeze restaurant in Kata looked exactly the same as when I'd met Ornappa 10 months earlier. Same plastic chairs, same handwritten menu board, same view of the beach. And there was Ornappa, wearing the same server uniform she'd worn when we first met, taking orders from a table of German tourists. She saw me and her face went completely white. I sat at a corner table and waited for her to finish with her customers. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Maybe she was still working shifts while getting her own restaurant ready. Maybe this was temporary income while dealing with the location change. She came over to my table 15 minutes later, nervous smile on her face. Abram, I can explain everything. Please do. The new restaurant location fell through yesterday. The landlord changed his mind about the lease, so I came back here to pick up extra shifts while I look for another space. What happened to the $28,000? It's safe. Most of it is tied up in equipment deposits and renovation payments for the Rowai space, but I can get refunds. The contractor owes me money back, and the equipment supplier said they'll transfer everything to a new location. She sounded rehearsed, like she'd practiced this explanation. Show me the equipment, I said. What? The $15,000 worth of restaurant equipment you bought. Where is it? In storage. The contractor is holding it until I find a new space. Let's go see it. Right now, Abram, I have to work. I can't just leave in the middle of my shift. I looked around the restaurant. It wasn't busy. Maybe 8 customers total, and there were 2 other servers working. Take a break. This is important. She made an excuse to her manager and we left together. But instead of going to see restaurant equipment, she led me to her apartment, the same small place she'd been living in all along. Her apartment looked different from our video calls. Smaller, shabbier, like the nice furniture and decorations had been temporary props. The big television was gone. The tasteful artwork had been replaced with cheap posters. Ornapa, what's going on? She sat on her bed and started crying. Not the grateful tears from when I'd helped with her mother's medical bills, but desperate, frightened crying. I'm sorry, Abram. I'm so sorry. Sorry for what? There was never a restaurant. The words hit me like a physical blow. I sat down heavily in the plastic chair by her desk. What do you mean? The photos, the business plan, the renovation updates, none of it was real. I borrowed photos from other restaurants, made up the documents, hired a friend to pretend to be a contractor. But why? Why would you do that? Because I love you, she said, still crying. And I was afraid if I couldn't give you something to invest in, something to be excited about, you'd get bored and find someone else. So where's the money? She couldn't look at me. I sent most of it to my family. My father's business didn't just fail. He owes money to some dangerous people. My brother's school fees, my mother's medication, the house payments. Abram, without your help, my family would lose everything. $28,000 to pay off family debts and living expenses. I felt sick. But some of it I kept for myself. She continued, new clothes, a better phone, things to make myself prettier for our video calls. I wanted to be someone you could be proud of. I was quiet for a long time, trying to process everything. How many other men? I finally asked. What? How many other men are you doing this to? She stopped crying and looked at me with something like anger. You think I'm some kind of professional scammer? I don't know what to think anymore. There's one other man, an Australian guy named David. But it's not the same as us, Abram. What we have is real. I walked out of her apartment and didn't look back. But the nightmare was just beginning. Back at my hotel, I checked my bank accounts online. The $28,000 for the restaurant was gone, obviously, but there were other withdrawals I didn't recognize. Small amounts, $200 here, $500 there, going back several months. I called my bank's fraud department immediately. Mr. Rodriguez, we show these transactions were all authorized with your debit card PIN and security questions. Did you share this information with anyone? I had shared it with Ornapa. During one of our video calls, she'd asked about my banking setup because she was curious about American financial systems. I'd explained how online banking worked, even showed her my account screen as an example. Another time, when she was setting up her own Thai bank account, I'd helped her understand routing numbers by using mine as an example. I'd given her everything she needed to access my accounts, and I'd done it willingly because I trusted her completely. The unauthorized withdrawals totaled another $19,000 over 6 months. Money taken so gradually I hadn't noticed it missing from my business accounts. Total theft, $47,000. I filed police reports both in Thailand and with the FBI's Internet Fraud Division when I got back to Phoenix. The Thai police were polite but made it clear that recovering money from romance scams was nearly impossible, especially when the victim had voluntarily provided banking information. The FBI told me the same thing. Without evidence of identity theft or unauthorized account access, it was a civil matter, not a criminal one. That was 8 months ago. I never got any of the money back. Ornapa disappeared from social media, changed her phone number, and according to mutual acquaintances, left Phuket entirely. The financial hit was devastating but not ruinous. I had to tap into retirement savings and take on extra consulting contracts to rebuild my emergency fund, but I'm getting by. The emotional recovery took longer. For months, I couldn't trust my own judgment about anything. If I could be so completely wrong about someone I'd talked to daily for almost a year, how could I trust myself to make any important decisions? I went to therapy. I talked to other men who'd been through similar experiences, and there are more of us than you'd think. I learned about the psychology of romance scams, how they exploit natural human desires for connection and purpose. The hardest part wasn't losing the money. It was accepting that my feelings had been real while hers were completely fake. I genuinely loved Ornapa, or at least the version of herself she'd presented to me. That love didn't become less meaningful just because it was based on lies, but it made the betrayal cut deeper. Here's what I know now that I wish I'd known then. First, legitimate relationships don't require constant financial support. If someone you're dating needs regular money transfers to maintain their basic lifestyle, that's not a partnership, it's emornapament. Second, be suspicious of anyone who seems too perfect for your specific situation. Ornapa knew exactly what I was missing in my life and became the perfect solution to my loneliness. Real people have flaws and incompatibilities. Scammers don't. Third, trust your instincts about red flags even when you can explain them away. I had dozens of moments when something felt off, but I chose to believe Ornapa's explanations because I wanted the relationship to be real. Fourth, never give someone access to your financial information, no matter how much you trust them. Love and money should be kept separate until you're legally committed to each other. Finally, if you're considering a long-distance relationship with someone in Southeast Asia, or anywhere else for that matter, visit them multiple times before making any significant financial commitments. See how they live, meet their friends and family, understand their real situation instead of just what they tell you. I'm not bitter about Thailand or Thai women in general. I know plenty of expats who found genuine love and built real relationships there. The problem wasn't cultural, it was personal. I was vulnerable, isolated, and looking for someone to rescue, which made me an ideal target. I'm dating again now, locally, and I'm more careful about red flags. But I'm also more open about my own needs and vulnerabilities. Pretending to be completely self-sufficient just made me easier to manipulate. The money I lost to Ornapa was expensive tuition for lessons I should have learned years ago, but at least I learned them before I lost even more. If you're thinking about sending money to someone you met online, especially someone in a different country, please learn from my mistakes. Your heart might be in the right place, but theirs might not be. And if you're currently in a situation like mine was, ask yourself this: would this person still be in your life if you stopped sending money? If the answer is no, then you already know what you need to do. Trust me, the truth hurts less than the lies, even when the lies feel better.